Good evening. Always interesting how the screen starts out. My name is Daniel Young. I'm the owner and founder of Adaptive Perspective and the Adaptive Perspective social media platforms. The ongoing videos continue our advocacy for closed-end funds. But if you want the full methodology behind our 12 Steps to Financial Freedom, then head over to Facebook and check out my group there called Adaptive Perspective, Navigate Your Finances, where I give you the entire framework for free. So this is an unedited video. Who knows what you'll hear in the background as I continue to film these in my house. I'm not a financial advisor. Oh, excuse me. I am not a financial advisor. I am a financial strategist, and I don't speak like the herd. And like you just heard, I make mistakes. I like raw video. I don't like, to be honest, I like full transparency. I don't like the full prissy, trimmed up videos you get with Fiverr or anybody else. I like raw video. So um, I'm changing my intro to these videos in the attempt to trim down a lot. So I'm trying a new style. So why do I like closed-end funds? Because we only invest in closed-end funds. So you get discounts, and you can orchestrate the discounts. I mean, there are crazy discounts available. There's a 53% off fund currently. But knowing how to read the discounts is important. But you get crazy discounts. You get amazing 8% plus consistent monthly dividends. And if you want quarterly, those are available too. You have opportunities across every sector, uh, stocks, bonds, oil, gosh, consumer, whatever you want to invest in, it's represented inside the market. Uh, from my perspective, it's a much lower risk and a much better payout compared to single stock investments. Pick your single stock company: Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, Nike, Coca-Cola, whomever. You're paying a lot of money for that share of that company, and you're not getting a great dividend. Much of the time, you're getting a quarterly dividend that if you parse it out to 12 payments, it sucks even worse. I mean, you're getting something that's 4% maybe, but that really runs 2 to 3% on those 4 quarterly payments. And at monthly payments, you're really not paying that much at all. So I can invest into single stocks and pay a lot and not get a lot. And I'm only invested in that one thing. But if I invest in a closed-end fund, now I have access to everything in their portfolio. They're taking the investment strategy for me in a sense of picking what funds to invest in, and then it's a lot easier for me to target the funds that I want to invest in. And if you look at the top three of the 503, and the SPY is really 503 and not 500. So if you're looking at uh, Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia, instead of owning them individually and not getting much for them, you can own a closed-end fund that owns all three of those plus a lot more. And you're going to get it for under $10 a share and get it for more than 8% a month. So that's a really good deal and a lot lower risk. You get improved upside. So the fund manager's goal is to optimize the performance of the fund with the goal that they close the discount window. Some discount windows are always open. There's a lot of factors that go into that. But our 53% fund has been it's been fluctuating. It goes from like 47% to 53% for a lot of different reasons, right? But the goal is that if you look at the top of the threshold at break even, like if you're paying full value for something and you're getting it for an insane amount off, the goal of that fund manager is to shrink the discount window, knowing at the same time the overall value will go up. So that widening gap now between the closing discount, price goes up, right? We get price gain as the window closes. And then you get access through all the different platforms. We do self-directed investment accounts through Webull. I will be transparent that we have a guy at Morgan Stanley that has part of our portfolio there for now. Our strategies are different. He has access to everything we have access to, but he doesn't like investing in closed-end funds because he sees them as uh, small. I guess you could say it is a smaller corner of the market compared to the market at large. But I can't make it make sense. He doesn't like it because it's a smaller market space, and I like it because it's a smaller market space that is completely closed in that there are no imaginary shares available. It's a closed system, complete supply and demand. And I also like it because the discount and the dividend, it's crazy. So knowing why we like closed-end funds and looking at where I am in my notes, it's kind of where I need to better improve this new transition system. So I want to make 5 key points because the market changes every week and changes in the sense that things change, but at the same time, nothing's really changed in the last several months. We get new financial data every day. We have company earnings this week. We get core inflation data, but nothing's really changed except the Fed has hinted that it's going to lower rates in September. And the national mortgage average has already decreased a little bit. Applications have already gone up. Overall home values have already gone up, right? But that's really about it. You have the upcoming volatility from the election cycle, and who knows how that's going to go. Who knows what that even looks like a month from now. All right. So that means we have to see a big picture because as easy as it is to look at where we are exactly at this point in time this week, it's just one day in the entire macrocosm of the investment market. So we have to see the big picture. You got to do your research and not just trust one single guy. Like, I mean, if you're watching these videos, that's awesome. Thank you. If you're not watching these videos, no offense taken, but I would hope that you're also watching other things. It's the best way to evaluate whatever anybody's telling you. So, of the people that I watch and listen to every single week, or whenever they come out with a new article, I read it and then I evaluate it. Right? I do my own research and then I see how that fits with everything else that's going on. So, our finance guy, we like, but at the same time, it's a slightly different investment strategy. And honestly, I like the self-directed investment better, but that's me. That's what we do. So, one, you've got to see the big picture. Two, you have to play the long game. I mean, it's very easy to hyper focus on tomorrow, right? Or the next day or the current day, wherever you are in the investment week. But you can't let the current market space get you down. There's always a doom and gloom viewpoint. Read it, understand it, consider it, think how it might impact you in the short and long term, and then see if there's a way to use it to your advantage. Third, the market always looks forward. And I've said this, and I've said it this way the last several weeks. The market always looks forward like a stumbling toddler. It'll make progress towards that toy, but it's also going to stumble, fall flat, and land on you and cry at times along the way. But that's how we need to approach investment. It's very easy to get trapped and tunnel visioned into what we're doing next, but we can't get trapped in that vision. So we should buy the best deals for now with the long-term game in mind, even when the long-term game includes the possible doom and gloom and all the ups and downs. So next, you have to think for yourself. I read a lot, I watch a lot, and I synthesize all of that into our strategy. Sometimes I follow the people who mentored me in the closed-end fund market space. Sometimes I don't. right? But you have to synthesize all of that into your strategy to see what works and what doesn't work, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. So you have to be willing to sift your own strategy. You have to be able to adapt your own strategy, but you also have to know the context of things. So the interest rate data is mixed. We all hope it's getting cut in September. That if as long as the Fed hints at that, we should see a gradual slowdown of that, or like a gradual national slowdown of that, or decrease of that leading up to the actual rate cut, right? But we don't know. So I'm going to get to more context in a little bit. Um, I mean, the, the takeaways from the last week, I read about, I don't know, 10 to 12 articles today, and anything from rates are going down, which I'll get to in a little bit as well, but like rates are going down, so stocks are going to go up. And rates are going down, so bonds are going to go up, which kind of goes with rates are going down and everything's going to go up. But as much as everybody's hoping for a rate cut in September, nobody knows. Somebody was bold enough to say, I think they're going to cut rates twice this year, but nobody knows. Um, I mean, the overall key takeaways are that the CNN Fear and Greed Index is neutral. Maybe there's a rate cut. Um, I mean, the herd is still into technology. We saw the blip last week, but it wasn't the popping of that technology bubble. About everything blipped. It wasn't like a reset. It wasn't because the market is overvalued, but there's still sentiment that says the market is overvalued. But we had a blip for any number of reasons. Um, but I think the market will just keep coming back. So the herd at large is still in technology, and I mean, the S&P 500 is really the 503, right? Because you've got uh, Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia at the very top, and people are still gung ho on technology. And even with a rate cut, I think the herd will still focus on technology, but at some point they're going to come out of technology, or at least out of direct technology. But for us, what that means is while they're hyper focused over there, we can pick up deals in other sectors. So, I mean, the best thing to do is go where the herd isn't. I mean, uh, man, looking at my notes, I've got some more trimming to do because I'm going to double say things and I don't want to double say things. Uh, I mean, so where do we go, right? If rates are going to go down and stocks are going to go up, or if rates are going to go down and bonds are going to go up, or if rates are going to go down and utilities are going to go up, right? All of those are good things. So then where do we go? Well, wherever the herd isn't, and into whatever the Fed can't print. The Fed prints money, right? So we're not just socking away cash and hoping on a devalued nest egg. You could have $1 million stored away for your retirement, but it's going to get devalued by inflation at least 4% a year. That's not helpful. So I'm not saying that storing away cash is a bad thing. I'm saying storing away cash for long term is a bad thing in the sense of if we were going to try to fund a property purchase, we could store away cash, right, for pick a time frame, short term, 3 to 7 years, right? Maybe more, give or take. But you're storing it away. I would put it in a high interest yield account. So you're generating money on interest at a rate greater than inflation. And then when it comes time to buy the property, you have your down payment. You can also do that through owning property, leverage one property into sourcing the down payment for another, right? But we're not investing in the market into stuff the Fed prints. That just doesn't make sense. So outside of that, what can't they print? Well, they can't print oil. That's the base of all things for technology. Uh, Maybe stocks, pending the portfolio. The Fed can manipulate the market and impact stocks, but they can't print stocks. We can invest in bonds. And then, like I already said, oil. I mean, the backbone of everything, backbone of energy, energy infrastructure, utilities, tech, all of that is surging because oil is surging. But we don't want to necessarily directly invest into it. So we could kind of back end invest into it if we found it in another portfolio. Uh, the last point I need to make before we get to the weekly closed-end fund update is we want to follow the code, and we adhere to our code unless there's a really good reason to not follow it. Exactly like Barbosa says, the code's more like what you call guidelines than actual rules. But the code is this: you know your strategy and you know your targets. I know our strategy: play the long game, don't sell the principal investment, retire or supplement a retirement on dividends. Do you know your strategy? Because that's key. Because I could give you all the advice in the world, I can tell you what we would pick and why and all that stuff. But if you don't know your strategy, that's problematic. Uh, we want to use the grander scheme data that's synthesized into our specific world so that we can weed out the options. That means you have to know your focus and you've got to be willing to move away from the herd. And I say the grander scheme data. So I said in weeks past, if we look at the micro data and then we condense that down until it hits the data in our world, like if you look at the micro data of the market and investments and rates across the earth, and then we condense that down into how it impacts us and our stock market, and then how it impacts us directly. That's really helpful. If you can condense data and then also integrate that into your strategy or see how it lines up with your strategy, that's huge, right? But sometimes you have to walk away from the herd. I'm okay with that. Are you? Uh, Somebody saw a meme like this. I wish I had the meme. But if you're always behind the herd, you're not getting the best grass and you're dealing with other people's shit. So if you're always following the pack, you're not getting somewhere first, which may or not be a big deal, but you're also walking through a lot of other crap. Part three, you want to buy historic discounts, which means you have to do the homework, or you let me do the homework. It's not just that a company, or it's not just that a fund has a discount, because some funds always have discounts. It's that a fund uh, has a historic discount, or a discount that's currently greater than either its historical average or its 5-year average, or both. Uh, Four, you want to focus on consistent and rising dividend payers. You want to know how the dividend, you want to know how the company is paying the dividend. You also want to know when the company pays the dividend, right? Do you want monthly payments or do you want quarterly? For us, we want monthly. And then you have to be mindful of the overall yield, which is easy to calculate, just kind of comes down to your strategy. Current average through the closed-end fund world is still above 8%. Our specific strategy has been to target 9% or more, unless there's a good reason to target something else. So let's get to the list and see where the bargains are, see what the strategy lines up for the week. So this is the closed fund list, and it, um, as you can kind of see at the top, um, let's see. So dark blue we own in the Roth, green we track, light blue is the individual brokerage, purple is recommended by somebody I read and trust, and those, so between light blue, dark blue, green, and purple, they get updated weekly, and then the whole system gets updated, or the whole spreadsheet gets updated monthly. Um, and normally, well, no, I'll get to that. So the targets, meaning, so the buy alert is the current existing discount is both double the historical discount and greater than the 5-year discount. Or in the case of newer funds, there's a little bit of leeway. At least the discount is kind of on par with where it's been, or that there is still a pretty hefty discount. Two would be a dollar cost average alert based on what we already have. One is we're tracking for any number of reasons. So if we look at the list at large and we scale by discount, right? Not all discounts are important. Well, not all discounts are interesting. Not all discounts are, what's the word I'm looking for? Notable. And then we scale back by target, and then we get this condensed list that we can then sort further. Current just means we already own it. You can see our kind of sifting method here. So we're looking at high fixed income, bonds, loans, and real estate, or stocks pending portfolio. Ooh, that is not what I wanted, but still, it works. So yes, that is our actual portfolio inside our Roth account. There. So all of these have historic or noteworthy discounts, right? They're all actually discounted. And what the discount means is, I I know this applies this week because I've already seen it. So if you found a if you found a fund that's actually break even, for every dollar invested, you're paying a dollar, right? And if it's premium, you're paying more. So for every dollar invested, you're paying $1.62 or almost $1.63. So for every dollar invested, you're really paying $1.63 a share. Or in this case, for every dollar invested, you're really paying about 47 cents a share. So now we come here. So this fund dropped off based on discount, but now it's back above its its metrics, so it qualifies for a triple asterisk. That said, I mean, yes, we already own it. We've been targeting monthly stuff, so it doesn't make the cut. Same thing for this one. Quarterly pair, but an off quarterly pair. So that leaves us with all monthly pairs. So all significant discounts, all triple asterisks, all monthly pairs. Now we sort by dividend. So the target has been 9%, unless there's a good reason. There's a good reason to keep it on the list or a good reason to consider it. And being that we can get this one for 53 cents off, 47 cents a share, essentially, it's going to stay on the list. They cut their dividend, I want to say back around January, because they restructured their portfolio from bonds into real estate. And they cut it in half. So if it went back to normal, that would be their dividend as of now. Or I guess that would be their dividend based on December or either January this year or December last. But since they cut it, it's in half. But just on sheer discount and then quite honestly, in the hope of the dividend coming back, it would stay. But really, it's the discount. Um, Everything else, and I get that that's 8.99. You can make the argument to leave it on yours. But if I'm going to be extremely selective and choosy, then 8.99 is still 8.99. And that leaves us with this list. Technology, like everything else, flipped. It did not pop. The bubble did not pop. So if I'm not going to pay this, I'm also not going to pay that. Take that off, and I can take that off. And of these two, this one writes call options. Okay, they write call options that helps bolster that higher higher yield, and it is all straight stocks. But between the two, I'll take that one. So it leaves us with a interesting list. And here's how it breaks down. We don't own any of the green one. And I'm double check. Oh, 250. So in the current rate market, with a rate cut, quite honestly, it will help everything. It would help, so uh, say rates and bonds run on inverse. So with rates going down, bonds, loans, real estate should go up. But honestly, the same should be true for stocks. I mean, if we cut rates, then everything does better. And won't one rate cut doesn't completely obliterate the return on fixed income. And it really just kind of it sells overall sentiment. It's kind of like, hey, we've managed the economy well and we cut the rate. Please let us keep our jobs. Um, so I don't think we can take high fixed income off our target list just yet. So for us in our portfolio, this is a mix of bonds. That's corporate bond fixed income, corporate bond fixed income, real estate. That's a portfolio in a can now. Um, Technology, um, primarily a loan company, real estate. So, what's the best thing? It really comes down to your strategy and where you think the market's going. We are predominantly invested into bonds and real estate. We have one fund that's straight stocks and it's tech and it's higher now than what it was. So even if we bought it now, we're not getting the amazing deal like we bought when we first bought it. So and this number is a little bit deceptive. This is what we have in the account right now. This is what is going to be coming into the account. So of what we have, we would buy this. The remaining fund, I could honestly make an argument for all of these things. And I don't know why maybe the Zoom was already like that. I don't know why the Zoom changed. Um, I don't know. Raw video, things happen. Um, so it comes down to what you would want to do next. And I could make the case that we would pick up stocks and specifically this portfolio. Because I want to say maybe, I can't remember last week, but I want to say 2 weeks ago, I showed what was in their portfolio. You could find what's in their portfolio. Um, it's a lot of stuff. And it's Morningstar gives this breakdown, but it's tech investment without actual tech investment because everybody uses technology a lot more than what we realize. Um, so I could argue for this. Stocks are lower. Use the blip to your advantage to pick up a stock like a solid stock fund that's well invested, both US and globally. There are people who think the dollar will stay down in relation, because countries have dropped it from their reserve currency. So the overall value of the dollar will drop in the next several years before it comes back up. You have countries around the world already cutting rates. So I mean, I can argue for this investment. And you see what we have left. Now, I'm going to kind of compare options. So if this is 828 and everything is less, then we'll get it at least this amount with any other thing with we'll get this we'll get at least this residual amount with any other option. Put it that way. So if we and I still like the idea of BRW. It's not a heavy fixed income play. I mean, they are loaded with bonds. It's not a heavy fixed income play, but I like what they're doing in the closed-end fund market space. They're challenging BlackRock and a lot of other companies to improve shareholder value, improve dividends, and if they can get BlackRock to change, then they can impact all of them. And I can support that. I like that. So we could do this, but y'all know I like 50 sets, but I also like I like whole numbers too. Um, excuse me. So we could do this. Uh, it's tempting to keep a reserve amount and not spend everything. And a reserve amount that would be enough to buy, say, a 50 set here. So about 420. Okay. And with the volatility predicted ahead of election season, it would be nice to keep about that much in reserve just to make sure that if we had another blip, we could take advantage of it and pick up something for cheap. Uh, let's see. Real estate, their real estate is not all online. So that sits at a price point below our overall average. So FRO, there's our current average a share. This sits below that. So it's kind of tempting to pick up another 100 shares and further drop that average. That's tempting. Yeah. Current numbers say 1.7. Recent article says really close to just flat out 2 billion. But a private lender, all American company, super high fixed income. Uh, CIF has super high fixed income. It's just on the polar opposite end of the pendulum in overall size. 33 million is a drop in the bucket to 2 billion. But we could pick up another 100 shares there and kind of jump all in on fixed income. And I apologize. I don't know why my allergies spike it, but this used to be a satellite, uh, like a satellite data management real estate company. It got rid of the data management satellite portion and it's further developed their real estate side. So I'm not a huge consumer fan. And that being said, I mean, this one has a growing consumer base and they own Nike and a lot of other stuff that's consumer, but it's also technology based on how they make the shoes. Um, so I can without boring you with more of my own waffling, and I hate waffling. I hate wishy-washy stuff. I can of what we have, that's easy. It's an easy 100 share pickup of CIF. Of what we don't have yet in the account, but what we will have by Wednesday, whenever I transfer funds, I can argue for all of these. And it really comes down to your strategy. Do you think fixed income is the way to go? You would pick up that. If you think real estate is the way to go, you would pick up that. If you want real estate, but you want more in the portfolio, pick up that. Uh, if you like overall bond investment, but you don't want a lot of high fixed income, pick up this. And if you want stocks before a lot of other people are going to find stocks, then you go here. Uh, one of the guys I follow, Brett Owens, is thinking it'll be like the Bond Bull 2.0 for this year. because rates are dropping. But in another article, he was like, it'll be a great time for stocks because rates are dropping. It's and I don't want to accuse Brett of talking out of both sides of his mouth, but that's how the articles came off. One article was rates are going to drop, go for bonds, and the other article was rates are going to drop, go for stocks. Um, and for our portfolio, where we're already heavily invested in the bonds, it is tempting to pick up another stock company. But knowing the market, with rates going down, it'll make bond prices go up. Um, and knowing that fixed income will do better when we're higher for longer. One rate cut is not going to completely upend that high fixed income strategy. So it is tempting to just go all high fixed income. Um, and it's really tempting to pick up this at the same time because I like rounded out numbers. And it still gives us enough overall to pick up another set of 100 in CIF if it still meets the metric. Um, so I hate to be wishy-washy, and I'm going to try not to be wishy-washy. But of what we have, which I know it looks inflated, but of what we have, that's easy. We would pick up another 100 shares of CIF. Of what we don't have, that becomes the bigger overall strategy call. And based on our portfolio, based on gosh, rates coming down in 2 months versus what could happen, I think we're left with the flip of a coin, which there's three sides to how that coin hits. Heads or tails is almost 50-50, right? But it on rarity, it lands on the edge. But on the flip of a coin, that would be either we go all in on fixed income or we pick up 100 spot of stock. So it would look like this. Or not that I want to sit on money, but we would sit and wait and not just kind of getting in my own head. Let me double check myself before I. Not much different. I mean, it's the flip of a coin. And I don't want to sit and wait on that much money. Not right now when the market it really is kind of ripe for the picking. So I'll amend that. It's either high fixed income, right? Like 100 of both. It's either high fixed income and stocks, 100 of both. And the edge would be this to pick up another bond, to pick up more bonds, just not target only high fixed income, but pick up more bonds and round that out to 300. So that's the surety of what, for us in specifics, I can eliminate these. And then that gives us a solid top four. And then take it how you will. Yes, for sure. Just based on what we currently have in the account. And I could argue for all of them, depending on what has not landed in the account yet. So take it for what you will. Those are the top four for the week. If you like the content, consider subscribing to my channel. Hit the like button. It really does help push videos out. And then if you have comments, feedback, questions, whatever, comment on videos, and I do interact. You know, if you're like, I like these funds, tell me why, because when I respond back, I'm going to tell you why they didn't make our cut if they're not on our list. Uh, then whatever you have for the week, I hope it goes well. Last week was a pretty volatile week. I mean, in the greater landscape of things, really just a volatile week. So I hope this week calms down a little bit for everybody. Um, but I hope you know what your strategy is. I hope you know how you're approaching your investment and how you're approaching retirement. And if you want somebody to just uh, chat with about how things are and how things are going, and not even just advice. If you want somebody to chat with, either comment on the videos or come find me on Facebook. I'm happy to go back and forth with you about whatever you have going on. Regardless, and I use this metaphor a lot because it makes sense. The investment vehicle of your retirement is a ship, and you are its captain, and you direct the course. So if you have no idea where you're going, it's really hard for you to get where you want to be. But if you can figure out what your dreams are and give yourself some direction, right, then it becomes your objective to implement the strategy that will get you from where you are to where you want to be and beyond. And if that doesn't make any sense, come find me on Facebook, and I talk about all of that there. Uh, but whatever you have, whatever hopes and dreams you have for your life, those things will not happen on their own. Therefore, you must make them happen. So I wish you a great week, and I will see y'all on another video. Bye-bye.